Hello and welcome to Destiny Digits. This is going to be a reading for Soul Urge number 6. So if you don't know how to find the Soul Urge number, you can use the link in the description box. But just like in astrology, you would follow your sun, moon, and rising sign. In numerology, you can follow your life path, your expression, your soul urge, and your birthday. Those 4 numbers make up your core chart. And so if you're watching this, you already know that you have a soul urge number of, I'm sorry if I said 6. I'm so sorry. This is for 7. And your soul tells you what motivates you, what drives you. And so as a 7, you're very analytical, very logical, a very introspective person. And so you appreciate the solitude. I'm seeing the Hermit card. You appreciate time to go within, to reflect, to question, to ponder, to observe. You know, most of your world is taking place within you. And this is what motivates you when you are doing something that you are involved in. You like to have that space to go within and to reflect. You're very intuitive, inventive, reserved, rational. Those are some of the higher energies, the higher vibrations of number 7 when we're talking about soul urge. Now, because there's a spectrum and sometimes our energy can go a different way. When we are not vibrating high, that looks like you being withdrawn. That looks like you calculating, you being overly analytical or cynical or distrusting, right? And so those same introspective gifts can kind of work against us if we're not conscious of what we're participating in, who we have around us, and just the current energy that we feel. All right, so to begin, I pull 3 oracle cards, 3 numerology cards from a deck I created, and then I pull a 9-card box spread for tarot. So at the bottom of the oracle deck, we have ancestors. And I think that just before we even begin, I think that tells you that you are part of something bigger, right? And your existence is a continuation of something that began before you arrived, right? So you are a role player or way shower. You have something to do here, right? And it's a continuation of something started before you got here, and it will be continued once you are no longer here. So I say that because you have big shoes to fill, right? When we're talking about the way in which you show up to life, right? Things that motivate you, right? So first card we have is rites of passage. And so I feel like if you have endured things in this lifetime that have been extreme in any way, and left you with some sort of trauma, or you felt like you had to kind of go and grow through very harsh experiences, I feel like Spirit is saying that was a rite of passage. It was necessary for you to endure the hurdles, the obstacles, and to triumph in the way you did, because it's necessary for you to continue and to align yourself with whatever the mission is for you. After rites of passage, we have grounding. So sometimes when we go through situations, they can really shake us up within, right? And so I think Spirit is saying, after struggle, after disappointment, after misunderstanding, after life is just life, it's necessary for you to ground yourself. So that's to anchor yourself in something that brings you back to center, something that brings you peace or calm. If you don't have something that you go to for that experience, then I think it's important to find one. And let's be careful, because as humans, we tend to self-medicate. So smoking may do that for us, drinking may do that for us. But in the sense that we're talking about grounding our spiritual self, I think that if there was a spiritual practice, something that you resonated with, I think that would be worth a try. And then we have letting go. And so, life is a bunch of beginnings and endings, right? And when we start something new, it's because something else ended. And sometimes when things end, those are experiences, those are relationships, those are careers. Sometimes it can be an actual life of someone that has passed on. But nonetheless, I feel like Spirit is saying, everything that you've been through, and it seems like at some point you experience loss, but the loss stuck with you, right? You learned about loss very early. And it made it hard for you to really create boundaries and let go of the things that didn't serve you, right? You just want to hold on to everything because I don't know when it's going to get taken, even if it's not good for me. So I think that Spirit is saying, it's important to understand your power when you are holding things within your vessel or holding things outside of your body, like people, places, and things. Not everything serves you, and some things do have an expiration date. And when it is time for something to end, most times we will know, right? We're feeling nauseous every time we pull up to the parking lot at work, right? Like we're just in a funk every time we're around a certain person in the relationship we think we're in, and we're just aggravated, we're annoyed, right? The job that we used to love, now we have constant migraines, so I feel like there are always indicators that tell us when a shift is necessary. And so if you have any symptoms or triggers or something showing itself to you that's kind of frustrating or vibrating you in a very uncomfortable way, I feel like it's okay to take inventory and to see if you are doing what you need to be doing, where you need to be doing it, with the person you need to be doing it with. So it's through grounding that you will understand why experiences were necessary, but it's also through grounding that you can release and purge the things that are no longer needed for the next phase of your journey. Next to rites of passage, we have understanding and enlightened. These are high vibrations of 11. And so I feel like anything that you've endured, it's because you are literally a light in the world. You are a way shower for others, just as your ancestors, your guides, have shown a path to you. As you walk and live your life, you must go through certain things because that gives you it gives you the material you need to complete your mission, right? And we know that anybody that is here on this earth, we are really here because we have someone else to serve. And so Spirit is saying that as you go through these situations that don't always seem fair or comfortable, attempt to understand from a bigger perspective why it's necessary and allow it to enlighten you, and then release it when that's necessary so that you can progress. When it comes to grounding, we have low vibes of 1, controlling, self-centered, impatient. Sometimes people are like, I don't have time to meditate, or meditation is boring. Like, and I'm not saying this to you, I'm just saying sometimes when we think about grounding, it seems like, really? Like, it seems so basic, but in many ways, it's about the way energy moves within us, right? And so we have controlling, self-centered, and impatient. And so if those are things that you possess at times when you have trouble waiting for something to show up or waiting for something to happen in your life, if you are ever impatient or self-centered or controlling, it's because the way you have to endure energy is harder because you can't control it, right? You don't have patience because you don't know how to wait with that energy. You don't know how to wait in the unknown. And so I feel like if you can pair if you can pair those periods in life where we don't know what's happening or what's taking place, if you compare that with an actual activity that can still soothe your energy while you go through these shifts and while you recover and while you put yourself back together, while you heal, if you have a practice that you can rely on that helps you maintain the energy within and without of you, I feel like it will help you lead yourself through your mission in a way that's a little more graceful, right? Because we really can't control many things. And so things are going to happen. And we are going to want to see reactions, and we're going to want to see change, and we're going to, but at some point it's really not, it's not us. It's something bigger. And so understanding how to wait for the bigger to do what it's supposed to do, I think grounding can help you heal, reflect, purge, purify, just get rid of anything that's not necessary for the task that comes next. Next to letting go, we have creative and expressive. These are high vibes of 9. So 9 is a very selfless number. It can be selfless or selfish, depending on the spectrum of energy we're talking about. But typically, this is a number that exists for to make the world better for others. Very selfless people. And so sometimes, it can be hard to let go of people, places, and things that we know did us wrong just because we're sweethearts, right? Sometimes we don't want to have to let go of people that we know need us, need our strength, need our love, right? But I feel like when you no longer can tap into the beautiful things in you. So if you have something creative, if you have a way of expressing yourself, I feel like these are combinations of things that are unique about you. If you can no longer be yourself in a pleasant and free and light way, if you are in something that has taken your joy, I think it's important to consider whether or not that is something that you can let go, replace, transform, what have you. But if you are no longer to be the best version of who you are because you feel like you're involved with something, someone, somewhere, I feel like it's important to consider the changes that must be made. So at the bottom of the deck, we have intuitive and romantic. And I feel like Spirit is saying you've been through a lot, right? And as you put yourself together, as sevens do, by going within, I think Spirit is asking you to bring the romance back into life, right? Realize why this life is beautiful, why it's loving. Realize what you love about it. What do you love about yourself? What do you love about your experiences? I feel like this is kind of a reading about you understanding that you're a part of something bigger and understanding why your health and why your perspective on your mission, on your life is so important, right? And so I feel like Spirit is asking you to consider a mindset shift when you are thinking about you and your energy. You do possess something, right? And everybody is not, let's pull tarot. Sorry. You do possess something. And if you don't know that, then you just offer yourself to everyone and anything. But then that's a lot of energy that we can't get back. But sometimes we have to squander or give away the best parts of ourselves to understand who we really are. And so I think Spirit is saying tap into your intuition, figure out what you love, what makes you love life, what makes you fall in love with life, what makes you, you know what I mean? What makes you resonate with the highest version of yourself. All right, so this is where I start pulling the 9 card box spread, and the center card normally will tell us the current issues. So far, we have the 2 of Wands, followed by the 9 of Wands, followed by Temperance. And then we have Death, we have Strength. And so the center card for this reading is Strength. So there are a few different ways we can read this card. One, you don't know how strong you are until you're tested, right? You don't know what you possess until you are literally put through what feels like, hell. So the other way that we can read the Strength card is we can consider the fact that we have a very gentle spirit who's able to tame a lion, not through, evil or violence or pain, but able to tame through grace and gentleness and love. And I feel like when we are talking about taming parts of who we are, when we are talking about making those shifts within ourselves, right, so that we can fall in love with life again, when we're having that, I think we have to know how to work with our own energy. And that's the energy that's vibrating high, but also the shadow aspects of us, taming the parts of us that scare us, that we don't understand, that we don't like, You know what I mean? The parts that we've hidden, the parts that represent pain and trauma and failure and defeat and loss. We need all of that. We need every aspect of every experience we have ever lived to see our full potential and our full strength, right? And so we don't want to leave anything dormant. We want everything to come up so that we can grow into the being that was intended, so that we can accomplish the mission, that's been directed for us. Okay, so, something ended. We have the death card. Death talks about something ending, something transforming, something leaving so that something else can come. And I feel like whatever ended really was a test of your strength. It showed you something about you. And we don't know what this was. You'll know, but I feel like there was something that ended that caused you to almost lose control, feel like you were spiraling. And I feel like this grounding card is highlighting that we became ungrounded when we were in this experience, right? Something took us off of our own platform. Like it shook us. So we had to understand how to tame that within us. We had to understand that we were strong enough to make it through. So this death triggered a strength in us. And then we have the Empress, which is like, Mother Earth in human form, right? Loving and nurturing, the ability to create, the ability to just make things beautiful and to bring life to many people, places, and things. And so I feel like when something ended, something had to be born. And this was a version of you that had to be born again, right? And so when you were talking about being independent and when you were talking about leading your life from a place of faith and hope and confidence, you don't have to control. You don't have to be impatient with time because you understand the bigger picture, right? And so all those small hiccups and those small moments won't absorb your energy anymore, right? And so you've been tested. An Empress can talk about a mother. It could talk about birth. It could talk about pregnancy. Yeah. And so if someone lost a person, or if someone, if this is literal death, I think that's where Spirit says, even loss is a rite of passage. It teaches us something. And so you are learning about things that you have within you that you didn't always know, right? So right now you are in the grounding phase. This is where you are trying to collect and settle and heal and understand. Now, before you got to this grounding phase where you're, where things are kind of falling into the shape that they will be, you went through this rite of passage, whatever that was for you, right? And so we have this Two of Wands. We have somebody who's making a plan, right? And I feel like the energy that is now strength in the past was anxiety. It was fear. So, above the strength card, we have the Nine of Wands, which is like that wounded warrior. This is someone who has consistently shown up and given their purest passion and drive and energy and efforts. But when they've walked away from whatever it was they were invested in, they have like wounds. And now they're a little afraid. They're timid. They're guarded. They're not sure of what they can do, right? Because they've been through so much. And they're kind of beaten and broken, and they just don't know what they are capable of. And so making a plan, having a future, having a vision is hard when you live in fear, right? Or when you're battling, like it's hard to even see the brighter days. And so Spirit comes in with the Temperance card. And the Temperance card is asking that you have patience, you find peace, and you use this moment of uncertainty to find a way to calm yourself until things make more sense, right? And so if there was something that you wanted to create, something that you were anticipating, if there was something that ended prematurely and it wounded you in any way, I think that was to show you that, you know, through consistent efforts, you have become strong in ways that you did not realize unless you endured these tough starts and these harder endings. And it's through temperance, it's through dealing with all of those uncomfortable emotions within us that we realize that endings don't have to be something we fear, because in the Empress energy, we actually know how to create life. We know how to regenerate. We know how to bring life to what seems lost, right? And that takes a very special strength. But you had to find it. You had to discover it. You had to lose it. You had to endure in order to understand who and what you were. So then, grounding is what allows us to let go. Once we're settled, collected, now we know what we don't need, right? And so under the death card, we have this 9 of Cups. So typically this is in an energy of being just very fulfilled, right? Just feeling content, not needing for anything, not wanting anything, just emotionally stable, has the ability to love, to accept love, to embrace love, just very mature. In what they have to offer. But this comes under the death card, right? Now, sometimes when I look at this card, I feel like the energy is smug. It's more like, look at me, look what I have, I don't know. I just get that feeling where someone is relying too heavily on the things that they've done well while they ignore all the things that they got wrong. You know what I mean? So we have this 9 of Cups, which transitions into the 3 of Pentacles. And this directly talks about being creative and expressing whatever your craft is, right? To the point where others are witnessing and watching and offering feedback. They're noticing you. So I feel like you will have a new beginning, but it is not, and it is a new, it's a new understanding of what love is to you. I feel like, and only loss can really make you think about certain things in a certain way. But I feel like once you let go of what doesn't fulfill you emotionally, what doesn't allow you to create and express, when you get out of those situations that don't really resonate or vibrate with who you are, clarity will come. Right? At the end of this row, we have the 2 of Swords, and this is about like not being able to make up your mind, right? This is not wanting to make up your mind, not wanting to see anything, right? This is kind of like being in that frozen energy, like just at a stalemate. And so, these swords talk about boundaries, but I also think that there are things that you have to let go of. It could be relationships, it could be groups or collaborations or commitments that you have with others. But I mentioned before that anything that doesn't allow you to be you, or anything that confuses you, anything that doesn't support and celebrate you, these cups, anything that doesn't fill your tank with love and peace and purity and support, I feel like these are the things that we need to let go, right? Because even though I think this 9 of Cups guy is pretty just smug and like that, like everybody wants to feel like that. alone with themselves. Nobody wants to feel like the only way I'm happy is if I'm with this person doing this thing or living in this place, right? Because all those things can change. So you never base your own understanding and love of self on things that literally can change. You have to develop something within you. You have to really do the work. And as a 7, you are motivated to go within and to ask questions and to get the answers. And so I feel like because of what you've been through, you are perfecting what that means to really go within for all of the right reasons, right? It's not to escape, but it's really to repair. It's to rebuild. Yes, so I feel like there are certain situations that don't strengthen you or acknowledge your strength that probably need to be released. I feel like there are certain relationships or people that feel entitled to you that need to be released. And I feel that once you release people, places, things, commitments, whatever, I feel like you will be able to remove this block that is not allowing you to live in your most authentic way, right? And so when you let go of what's not needed, that will free up your heart to really chase and create in this Empress energy the things that you are here to do per your ancestors. Okay? All right, 7s, I hope that this was beneficial to you in some way. This was Soul Urge number 7. Thank you.